Spoilers for Titan Souls and Death's Door lie ahead. Also, I'd recommend you watch my Titan Souls video prior to this one. It's important, trust me. I'd also recommend playing the games, of course. They're great games, definitely worth the price of admission. Acid Nerve knocked it out of the park with these. The first human, Adam, after slaying the Creator, fused with Truth. Adam took over Truth's power, as Truth had no will of its own other than self-preservation, as Truth must exist. Adam, with his newfound power of omnipotence, was one step closer to ultimate power. He had the power of life, the power of truth. Now all that was left was chaos. Unfortunately for Adam, his actions came at a cost. The door to the ether was shattered by the energy that it took for Adam to fuse with Truth, trapping life behind the ether and forcing Adam, now Truth, into the mortal world. Without the connection to the ether, Truth was unable to move and was stuck to the ruins in which its door was once a connection to the source of all its power. Over the next centuries, many mortals died. Death reaped the souls, and the Titans faded into legend. The mortals were scared of death, some even resorting to hate. But death was only there to keep balance in the world. It's not scary, it's just the natural cycle of life and death. The cycle got tiring, but it was death's duty. One being, forged by something unknown, infused and powered by pure soul energy, and was taken to the universe, was unhappy with this arrangement. They didn't want to die, at least not so soon. Enter Lord Lockstone, the first in the lineage of the Lords of Doors. With the ability to create doors to essentially anywhere, they bring an offer to death. They would handle reaping souls with their ability to create doors in exchange for immortality. Immortality was impossible, of course. Life beyond its years will begin to contort into a demonic form and end up corrupted. Instead, death offered an extended life, and Lockstone could forge a successor. Lockstone, knowing their consciousness, their self, would degrade over time if true immortality was granted, agreed, and so the lineage of lords began. Lockstone founded the Hall of Doors, a location which connected to all parts of the world. Employing crows as reapers, each would be assigned a soul to reap and to return to the ether, relieving death from their endless cycle. The crows were also granted extended lives. Their mortality returned each time a door was opened, and relieved each time their assigned soul was retrieved and a door was closed. Knowing he was nearing the end of his life, Lockstone began work on his successor, teaching the importance of balance and the beauty of life. Naming the successor Theodore, Lockstone departed from the world, allowing their soul to be drawn to the ether. Theodore wasn't happy with the obligation to adhere to Chaos's role, but they had no choice. Balance must be maintained, of course. All they could do was make sure all the living, especially the Reapers, were having a good life for the little of it they had. Theodore wanted nothing more than to end the cycle of life and death, but it was not in their hands. They were simply the courier of chaos, bound by the rules of a world they had no control over. Even now, their spirit holds on to hope that one day the cycle may end. After years of keeping balance in the cursed world of the mortals, it was time to create a successor. Lord Opengate was the next of the Lords of Doors. Opengate was delegatory, ruling over chaos with a steady hand. Of course, they, too, knew the importance of balance, just perhaps not as much as their predecessor, for Theodore was resentful in letting go of their life, wishing only to see the cycle broken. Opengate sought knowledge, being told so little by their creator, coming to the conclusion that balance was far more important than Theodore made it seem. All of life was hinging on Opengate keeping the balance of souls steady. Despite this, Opengate was optimistic, at least as much as you can be when you rule over the force of chaos. They knew that life was simply a product of the universe's existence, and balance is sought naturally. They were simply the conduit, and that was their fate. Opengate forged Deadbolt when their time had come, creating the fourth Lord of Doors. Deadbolt had been keenly told of the importance of maintaining balance by their forger, fixing the woes of the Lord before. They rule over the Reapers with an iron fist, forcing efficiency and perfect chaos. Balance was theirs to keep, and theirs alone. The very universe fell on their shoulders. There was no fate, simply duty. Deadbolt looked down on death, thinking of them as nothing more than an anachronism. If Deadbolt wasn't here, who would keep balance and control? Well, nothing can bear the weight of death forever, so even Deadbolt had to create a successor. The final Lord, not given a name, only a goal, was forged. Deadbolt told them to ignore death and keep balance, to do what they must to reign over chaos. The Lord took the teachings to heart. Most of them, anyway. The Lord did what they could to reign. Wanting to get death out of the way to keep their life and designation, the Lord sought a way to trap death. The Lord found a woman who was experimenting with the forces of life and death, seeking immortality. A deal was struck between the two. The woman's soul would not be reaped, and the Lord would receive all information she found about death. This woman overheard a gravedigger talking to someone about concealing the stench of death. Intrigued, she decided a quick look wouldn't hurt. The gravedigger was placing what seemed to be an urn over someone's head, earning her the suitable title of the Urn Witch. The newly titled witch asked the Lord for some crows to help with her studies, even using her own grandson to test her spells. The grandson, no longer able to peacefully garden, the soup spilling out of his head onto the flowers, has set out for vengeance against the witch. armed with nothing but a wooden spoon and some delicious soup in his head. As time went on, the witch began to grow, so much so that her wedding ring had to be removed. She was absorbing souls as time went on, causing her to swell. Death's warnings were coming to fruition. The witch was becoming closer to demonic. Nearing the loss of hope, the Lord had found the ruins of Truth's door to the ether. A false death's door could be created. The Lord excavated the door, destroying the true door, causing a huge energy surge in the process. The Lord ordered all the doors in the region surrounding the location of the ruins to be closed, preventing Reapers from finishing their assignments, keeping them mortal, but also preventing anyone from finding out what was happening. They then lured Death to the opening of the door, saying it needed Death's touch to link to the ether. Seizing the opportunity, the Lord kicked Death into the ether and sealed the door behind them, corrupting the very forces of the universe. Death was trapped in life's domain, Truth's door was used to create a lie, and chaos was allowed to reign unchecked by its regulator. The crows who were now forced into immortality all banded together, wanting to destroy the Lord who had resigned them to their fate. Together, they went to the source of the closure in the first place, the excavation site, along with some other crows who had their own reasons to be upset at the Lord. Here they found the ruins and a carving of an eye. The carving began speaking to them, telling them how to achieve their goal. It would take a long time and a lot of planning and effort, but they had enough. Of course, time didn't stop marching, but they could hold out long enough. Around them, life began to stagnate, causing concern, but there just wasn't much a few stray crows could do. To ease their nerves, Truth told them of their savior to come, the foretold crow. The Lord wasn't satisfied just yet. The door was sealed, but what if someone got to it? What if souls tried to open it and get to the ether? There were already plenty of souls ready to return, many demons who needed to be reaped, balance to be restored. The Lord began assigning souls to the Reapers. Many of them were used to power a guardian of the door, created by the Lord itself, much like how their ancestors created each other. Eventually the guardian was full, and souls had to be stored in the soul vault, creating a currency system between the crows, as souls could be used to give yourself much more power. One crow was assigned the soul of the mortal who had fused with Truth, whose soul had returned to the ether. The Lord didn't know it, but this mistake would cause their downfall many years later. This crow, guided by a compass that pointed to the soul, would be pointed directly to the door. Defeating the guardian created by the Lord, he absorbed all the souls lost inside, growing greatly in strength and size. He would then be resigned to his fate of searching for a way to open the door for centuries, all the while thinking his mortality would soon catch up to him. This fear was unfounded, however, as death was no longer able to affect the mortal world. The Lord created another guardian to stop others from reaching the door, but they weren't so confident in its power anymore. There were other souls that never made it to either the ether, due to the closure of Death's door, or the soul vault, the death of the carrier being caused by whatever miscellaneous reason. Some of these souls found their way into beings such as the witch, some into objects, just as in the time of Titans. Many plants were given souls by happenstance, even some inanimate objects gained souls. Just as in the time of legends, the souls took on the attributes of the objects they inhabited. The chests in which the three great reapers held their treasures had attracted more souls than any typical object, given their proximity to not only the soul vault, but the reapers who had near endless amounts of souls at any given time, given their ability. These chests ended up succumbing to avarice, protecting their treasures. In an attempt to retrieve their most prized possessions, the reapers each mounted an offense on their individual avari. Unfortunately, they all perished to the clutches of greed. A tyrant known only as the Frog King, king of the swamp, guardian of the flooded fortress, lord of his domain, ruler of all he surveys, champion of the people, keeper of the 5 oaths, first of his name, second of his other name, he who is without middle initial or mercy, destroyer of all those who would question his rightful rule or look at him askance, eater of the vanquished, devourer of the indolent, guzzler of the non-committal, bestower of wrathful opprobrium, and fount of most wondrous beneficence. All glory to him and his mace, holy basher of toads, not frogs, but really what are toads anyway? Like worse frogs, right? Uglier too. Smartest creature in all the land, really clever like that Einstein guy, but more handsome and, okay, hit the word count. Took over a ruined, flooded fortress and made it his own. He would kill all who entered his domain and take the souls, to the detriment of his subjects. He wanted all the power to himself. He grew, eventually becoming demonic from the sheer amount of souls he was absorbing. Just before death was sealed, a sailor far away was sucked through a door under the sea. Stranded on the other side, there was nothing left to do but to simply start life over. Repurposing his ship as a shop, and whatever other effects he had brought with him on his initial voyage, he began selling his famous squid soup. Soon after, the stranded sailor had become an incredibly popular location for brave souls who were climbing the mountain to see Betty, an incredible beast in a cave at the peak. She was legendary. It was said that she was the descendant of a great titan many generations ago. Many climbed the mountain to see her. Some for the challenge of taking her on in battle, some for the spectacle, and some had other reasons. Just one problem. The man's time was just about up. One day, while fishing for some more squid, Jefferson decided he had lost enough of his friends. Climbing up to the man, Jefferson pulled him down into the water and drowned him. Jefferson, realizing he had just murdered someone, decided it would be a good idea to hide the evidence, in plain sight. He took over, selling the squid soup at the stranded sailor, even writing in the captain's log that Jefferson and the man were good friends, in case anyone got suspicious. Finally, it was time for the free crows to act. A new reaper was showing up, one with promise beyond that of the others. They made the commission assign the soul of a spirit in the forest long past its time. The crow overcame the demon easily, returning hope to the camp of the free crows. The gray crow, seeing his opportunity, stole the giant soul from the foretold crow and attempted to use it to open death's door. Unfortunately for him, it was sealed too tightly and needed far more power. And so, convincing the fledgling reaper by way of fear-mongering, it was time to set off on a journey. Soon in the journey, the reaper comes across a gravedigger known as Stedhone. Stedhone has lived for countless years, burdened with unending life, as many of the other souls, and wants nothing more than for it to end. Stedhone's time has not come, and it's not our ability to decide their fate. The foretold crow, in their mission to open death's door, helps a grandson enact vengeance on his witch of a grandma, defeats an evil tyrant who was king of the swamp, guardian of the flooded fortress, lord of his domain, ruler of all he surveys, takes out a mythical beast atop the mountain. Finally, with all three giant souls, death's door can be opened. The gray crow and the reaper enter, wanting to find their assigned souls. They find death, unwittingly ruining everything the Lord of Doors had done over the course of its unnaturally long life. Death tells them that their souls are lost to the ether, and everything else that has happened over the centuries. The foretold crow is accepting of this information, even wanting to undo the wrongs caused by the Lord, but the gray crow was furious. All that time spent searching was for nothing, and he had even caused his own death. The weight of all the souls finally caught up to him, turning him demonic, causing the Reaper to have to take him down. After the fight, it was time to take down the Lord, forcing them to atone for their sins against the balance of the world. The Lord fights for their life, something they've been doing since the very beginning, and, for the very first time, they lose. It's over. The Lord of Doors is dead, and there will never be another. The crow's journey isn't over yet, however. Their calling, the reason for which they are foretold, has not been fulfilled. Using a key the Lord is holding, the crow opens a gate guarding a mysterious bell tower on the edge of the graveyard, plunging the world into darkness. After a long time searching, the crow finds 7 mysterious tablets, the first from an owl, or so it would seem. This owl seems to be a free crow sent out by Truth to test the crow to see if it really should be the chosen one. The next comes from another soul-infused chest, potentially another trial set up by Truth. Jefferson seems to be hiding more than he lets on. Discovering the unlikely truth, Jefferson is actually a squid simply controlling the dead sailor. Jefferson guides the Reaper to a location at which they can pray to the moon and receive another tablet. There's another tablet if 7 special souls are guided to the 7 special statues. 6 torches must be lit in order to uncover another. Exploring leads the Reaper back to where Betty was fought, and even higher. There they find a locket with a picture of Stedhone and a dog. It seems Stedhone fused his soul with it, as it's vibrating with soul energy. You bring it to Stedhone, reminding him of his lost friend. His age and souls catch up with him, ending in a fight and the final tablet. Bringing the tablets to the camp of the Free Crows, the altar in the back accepts them perfectly. The stone behind them falls away, allowing the foretold crow to fulfill their destiny. Truth appears in the midst of the ruins, telling the Reaper its tale of titans and god slayers. The crow fuses with Truth, Adam, ready to go and take back the power of life, the power of soul. Then only one step will remain, conquering chaos, the final of the 3 inextricable beings. I decided to do this one backwards from the Titan Souls video. I wanted to present the story as I see it first, and then present my evidence, as it might be a little easier to keep track of everything, since things were all over the place last time. One thing I don't think I got across well enough last time is that I literally only call the first human Adam because the mythology that the story is based on calls the first human Adam, and saying Adam is much easier than the human or the mortal. This is not meant to imply an intended name, there's clearly not one, it's simply the player's conduit into the world, and this is my version of the story as I see it. Mark, one of the developers of the game, has said in the Death's Door Discord server, link in the description if you want to join, that the story is explicitly up to interpretation. There's no actual evidence of this being the name. As for the rest of the story, I wanted to make it easy to follow, so I laid everything out in semi-chronological order. It's not super specific, but things did happen in vaguely this order. It's entirely unknown what the origin of the First Lord was, so I didn't present any possibilities for any creator, but I can tell you who it wasn't. We can immediately rule out death, as Lockstone asked death to be able to help. It might have been truth, using what little soul they had left, but I don't think that's very likely. The only character we know of to have forged living creatures via soul was Golcain, but Golcain is a little dead, so it's extremely unlikely they had anything to do with it. That being said, Grandma does have Molcain's crystal, meaning she went to the location that Mol and Rolcain were forged in, or at least has some connection to it. I'm not good at large-scale spatial recognition, but the lab does seem to be beneath the mountain, in a similar location to where Golcain was in Titan Souls. As far as I can tell, it's either a character we don't know of yet, or it's a character that we don't have enough evidence to pinpoint. We know not only the order of the lineage of the lords from the Castle Lockstone, but we also know how each of them ruled and snippets of their ideologies as well. The text given says Lockstone was the first lord, the one to make a deal with the death itself, uncontested and awesome in their reign, dealing only with the law and the founder of the Hall of Doors. When you speak to their spirit, they say, "This is the resting place of we, the Lords of Doors. I am Lord Lockstone, for whom this crypt was named." The Lords of Doors were an anomaly, a mistake of the universe, some might say. But is that not an apt description of all life? A mistake of the universe, one which grows and thrives, existence born into consciousness, and to preserve that consciousness is the most important and noble goal. Theodore is the first successor, an egalitarian leader, smoothly transitioned into his role, wanting the Reapers themselves to live better lives. Their spirit says, "Sweet child, look at what has happened to your life at the hands of our chaos. I was never sold on the idea of preserving the course of life and death. Each lord creates the next in succession before their death, and teaches them the Lord's path. My creator, the Lord before me, bound me to their system. All I could do was try and balance the world as fairly as I could. I tried my best to do right by the living, especially the crows, recruited into something they had no business in. If opportunity presents itself, child, ending this cycle would be what's right for the universe. My time was too short to come to that ultimate conclusion, but I remain hopeful that others will reach it on their own." Opengate was the third in the lineage, a steady leader skilled in delegation and an interest in knowledge. They say, "Greetings, young Reaper. Your presence here is quite a conundrum. It would indicate that the course of events which started with the formation of Death's Door has led the universe to the brink of great peril. However, it is also indicative of those actions correcting themselves. Life is merely the universe experiencing itself, and as the universe seeks balance in all things, we, as part of it, are all acting to maintain that balance. Stay true to your path, young Reaper. I can sense victory in your future." Deadbolt was the fourth, a strict leader wanting efficiency over comfort from the Reapers. "My life was not easy. The balance of the universe was my duty, and mine alone. The Lord who created me had grand illusions about fate and purpose, but fate did not bind me to death's door, duty did. No other could take on the task of controlling life and death, so I bore the burden. I bore it for as long as I could, even extending my life beyond the bounds set by the pitiful anachronism that is death. When my time finally drew to a close, my successor paid no heed to my teachings. I fear their reign might have destroyed the balance I tried so hard to maintain. What a bitter disappointment they have been. Greatness is seldom free, Crow. True greatness may even cost you your soul." I believe in this story that spirit and soul are different, where spirit is your consciousness. It would explain how you can speak to the spirits of the lords. Consciousness is clearly given some importance in Lockstone's dialogue. It's also why the souls in the ether and the soul vault aren't constantly crying out. There's nothing there to cry out. It's simply the life energy of late beings. We know the Lord of Doors has a deal with Grandma from her dialogue, as well as one of the journals in the Hall of Doors. If instead of heading back into the heart of the hall, from where you got the bomb upgrade, and head down when you get down the elevator, there's a journal there. One of the pages says, "He mentioned he was being assigned to assist a powerful witch with some research last time we had lunch." The other three journals also mention the energy surge, the closure of the doors of the area, and the seismic event. I'm fairly certain these are all the same event. The witch seeing an urn being placed on someone's head was a way to tie in a pet theory I have about one of the shiny things. If you look at the incense, there seems to be a face on it. Whether or not this was deliberate is up for debate, but I do like how it ties in with the urn witch's belief that urns ward off death, especially since the flavor text on the incense says it wards off the stench of death. Maybe Stedhone was talking to his dog when she overheard, who knows? Corvus, the crow sitting next to the gate that leads to truth, tells you how truth speaks to them. They say, "It whispers to us when we need guidance." Truth is what put everything in motion and what caused the game to happen. Quote, "It foretold your arrival and your destiny." Unquote. Not all the free crows had their doors closed though, as shown in one of the journals, specifically the one coming from the fire upgrade. It took me around 3 playthroughs to realize, but there's actually a second guardian of the door, emptied of souls and sitting in a ravine in the graveyard. It's a great reason as to why the Grey Crow is so large. There's a sign nearby that explains it was once home to many lost souls, and, as established in the Titan Souls video, lost souls are those that never made it back to the ether. Oh yeah, the games are connected. I haven't explicitly stated that, but I figured it was obvious enough by now. There's no specific evidence explaining why the big crows inside the Avari, and yes, I'm aware Everuses would probably be more accurate, are so big, nor why they're inside the Avari, but I think my explanation works at the very least. Jefferson and the sailor's stories are shown through a few sources. First of all, there's the captain's log shiny thing, which says it's filled with stories of how a sailor was sucked through a giant door under the sea and had to start a new life atop a mountain. The later chapters talk about the sailor's friendship with the squid. I like to think Jefferson himself wrote the later chapters, even if it hasn't outright confirmed. The night owl being a crow seems to be intended. The design looks very crow-esque. It can fly, but so can all the powerful crows, barring the gray crow, and that may be just because of his age. It does make owl noises, but it looking crow-like seems to be intended. If I find anything else on it, I'll definitely bring it up in a follow-up video. I'll definitely be making a follow-up. There's a lot I didn't explain, such as a few shinies like the Death Coin, or the other remnants of the Titans, such as Elhanan's arrowhead. I tried to cover everything that wasn't mostly obvious here, but I wasn't extensive with my explanation by any means. If there's anything you don't understand or want me to cover in a follow-up, please let me know in the comments. There's a lot more to this game than there was to Titan Souls, and it's likely I missed a lot of stuff, and it's likely I got stuff wrong. I might return to Titan Souls 2, so if there's anything you want to know about that game, throw it in the comments. Now that that's done with, I want to give a more ambitious pet theory. Theodore's dialogue makes it seem like it's possible to destroy death. This makes sense. It does seem to be possible to do so, but not without also destroying life and truth. It seems like death is the chaos mentioned by truth. At least that seems most likely to me, as that's what the Lords caused, death, and Theodore says they caused chaos. Chaos, life, and truth, also known as death, soul, which seems to be the human and Titan souls, or at least before the whole tower collapsing thing and now it's trapped in the ether, and, well, truth. All must be destroyed at the same time. At the end of Death's Door, truth, being controlled by the mortal via their fusing, has life, the soul, back. It's my theory that in the next game that they'll have fused with death, or it will be your goal to cause them to fuse in some way, and you will have to take down this tyrannical, all-powerful being, destroying the universe in the process. Or you could have to separate them, maybe destroy the human and become life yourself, but I think potentially destroying the universe would be a lot more interesting from a storytelling perspective. Alright, this one took a while. I think just the typing of everything took like 10 hours, just because I had to, cross-reference so many things and make sure I didn't get anything explicitly wrong, or at least not obviously wrong. Again, if I got anything wrong, or if there's anything you want me to cover, either about this game or about Titan Souls, leave it in the comments. If it's simple enough that I can answer in the comments, I will. Otherwise, I'll throw it in a document and cover it in the follow-up video. I am currently going through the game and writing down literally every piece of dialogue I can find, so eventually I will have a comprehensive, full, look on the game. I'll be able to look at all this and cross-reference it with literally every piece of dialogue and everything. But until then, I wanted to get some sort of story out. I do want to cover the Urn Witch in more detail later. I want to cover a lot of things in more detail later, and I want to cover, everything extensively eventually. But that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And like I said, I just want to get this out. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I love you all, and I don't know how to end this.